G'day legends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a raw vocal and turn it into a powerful, gritty, rock and roll, in your face vocal. So if you want your vocals to go from sounding like this, to sounding like this, and stick around. Okay, so this is a really simple vocal chain, but as you can hear, it's really effective. So let's dive into the processing that's going on here. So we've got a lead vocal and a double track, and I think it's kind of important having that double track. It beefs up the vocal, makes it sound a little bit bigger. Let's have a listen to what this sounds like, completely raw, just the lead vocal.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of Marshall Stacks.
So you can hear they've done a really good job of recording the vocal. It's nice and clear, it's nice and clean. There's no distortion or anything going on. That is a good vocal to start processing. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is just a channel strip EQ with a high pass filter. And for this vocal, I took it all the way up to 210 Hertz. The vocals are quite high. There's not really anything in the low end that's going on.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of Marshall Stacks.
You can see the frequency range down here, and we've got nothing going on around 200 Hertz. So it's kind of safe to bring the high pass filter up that high. If they're a bit lower, then we'd move it down further. So just do that according to the vocal that you're working on. Now our next plugin, JST gain reduction. You've probably seen me use this on the channel a few times. This is just a stupid plugin for making vocals loud and aggressive. If you don't own this plugin, you really should pick it up at some point, whether it's on sale or you just need an awesome plugin right now to make things loud and in your face. JST gain reduction is amazing. So we've got our slay knob, which is like the amount of compression that goes on, and then our gain, which is basically just like makeup gain, so you can turn it up or down after the compression. And then body, you can slide this around to either thicken the voice or make it sound a little bit thinner, and then a mix knob as well. There's a couple of other things on here, but we're not really concentrating on those right now. So let's check out what this is doing.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of Marshall Stacks.
All right, so you can see that is doing a lot, and I'm actually hitting it quite hard, pushing it all the way up to 8 dBs of gain reduction. Sometimes when I use this plugin, I only like it around 2 or 4 dBs of gain reduction, and even then I might pull the mix knob back. But when I'm searching for a really gritty in-your-face vocal, and this has absolutely no compression on it, it's tracked completely clean, this is working really well to just make it sit present up front, taking away all of those sort of like pokey dynamics in the voice and just making it really compressed and up front, which is awesome.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back.
Awesome. So the next thing in the chain is I want to add a little bit of distortion, bit of saturation, add a bit of extra grit. This is helping, but we can take it further. So I've got Gorilla Drive by Safari Pedals. This is an awesome plugin if you just need to add a little bit of extra grit to something. It sounds great on most things, vocals, guitars, bass. Probably sound good on drums. I haven't actually tried it on drums yet, but I imagine on a snare drum or something, this could sound really cool. So check this out.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of Marshall Stacks.
Now I know what you're thinking. You think it sounds like it's too much, right? It sounds like there's too much distortion on there. And all we're doing is pushing the input, and then I've just pulled the output down to kind of match it a little bit. There is an auto gain button, but I just did it manually. And then there's also a blend knob. So you can pull this back and just kind of mix it into taste. But in the context of the mix, it sounds good. Outside of the context of the mix, it sounds like a little too much drive. And I agree with that. I hear that and I go, oh, there's a lot of drive on there. But in the mix,
well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of Marshall Stacks.
It gives me what I want to hear. It's giving me that grit and distortion that makes it stand out in the mix and gives it that little bit of extra flavor. So I think that's awesome.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Well, I guess it ain't coming back.
So you can hear it's adding a lot of character to it. If you haven't checked out Safari Pedals yet, they have an awesome range of plugins, and they also have a really good bundle deal on all their plugins. I think they're up to like 15 plugins now, and it's like 150 bucks. So it kind of works out roughly around $10 a plugin when you buy the bundle, which is awesome value. And their plugins are just really cool. So I'll stop talking about their plugins, but if you want to check it out, there'll be a link in the description below. Okay, our next plugin is ProMB, and we're just using this as a de-esser. So there's a de-esser setting in here under vocals. You can pretty much just click on that and you'll get this setting. And then you can play around with this little band as to what triggers the de-essing. So finding that spot where the S's and T's are poking through is a good place to line this up to trigger the compression on the vocal. Otherwise, it should always be a fast attack, fast release to make sure it grabs that stuff before it gets through.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of monster stacks.
So pretty cool. I use ProMB as a de-esser quite a lot. I think it's just a good sounding de-esser, even though it's not a de-esser, it's a multi-band compressor. But whatever, it works. Okay, so then our double track vocal has all of the same processing, nothing different about it. But then we also have Waves Doubler. This is such an old school plugin, but it still works really well. And basically all I'm doing here is I'm pulling out the direct signal, and then I've just put the gain back up to 0 on both of these double channels. And it gives us a nice widespread vocal, kind of like the Haas effect kind of thing. And that doesn't bother me too much. I don't care about this vocal being centered, and I don't care if you collapse it into mono and it's a bit phasey. It's not going to be that loud. It's just going to add a bit of width to our lead vocal and make it sound a bit bigger. So have a listen to this on its own.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of monster stacks.
So you can hear it sort of sounds a little bit heavier to the left. That doesn't bother me at all, but you could pull down the left-hand side to balance it out a bit more. Even a couple of dBs would work.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of monster stacks.
You start to hear a little bit more of the right-hand side when you do that. It's just like a psychoacoustic effect. But when you put it behind the lead vocal, it just makes it sound big and wide.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of monster stacks.
All right, that's pretty cool. So it's making the vocal sound big and wide. Now I've got one more thing. The lead vocal and the double track are going to the vocal bus. And on our vocal bus, all we have is an EQ. And basically this is just like a tidy up EQ. Basically just to help the vocals sit in the mix a little bit better. I cut a little bit of low mids, 254 Hertz with just a wide bell. I pulled that down like 2 dBs. And then I did a high shelf cut at around 6.8K. I pulled that down 1 dB just to kind of tame a little bit of the sibilance and the brightness of the vocal. And so we're getting just a little bit more mid-range focus out of the vocal. Have a listen to what that sounds like.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Too many years in front of monster stacks. Too many years in front of monster stacks.
So you can hear that kind of woolly sound. That's what we're pulling out. And then up here,
Well, I guess it ain't coming back.
just that really sizzly bright top end, just taking a bit of the edge out of it. It's only 1 dB, but it does help. And that 2 dB cut down here definitely helps clean up that low mid stuff, especially when it's in the context of the mix. It just takes away a little bit of mud. So I'll turn those effects off. I know they've probably been annoying you that whole time, hearing that delay over and over again. So this is what it sounds like with no reverbs or anything on it.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back. Well, I guess it ain't coming back.
Yeah, big difference. Just a couple of plugins, no serious EQing or anything going on. It sounds sick.
Well, I guess it ain't coming back.
Just aggressive, loud, upfront vocals. And if you didn't want that much distortion, you just get that mix knob, blend it back to taste. For this track, I want it nice and gritty. So there you go, guys. Simple but effective vocal chain for loud, upfront, aggressive rock vocals. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you found it helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support this channel, make sure you check out the link in the description below to my website. Go check out my range of drum samples and mixing courses. Grabbing any of those is a really big support for the time that goes into making this kind of content. If you're interested in checking out my one-shot sample pack, then check out this next video coming up.